Well, good afternoon, Myrtle Beach. And we are excited today. The scene you see behind me is live. It is just a gorgeous day here in Myrtle Beach. And we're excited because today we have Diane Hardy. She's the executive director of the Mom and Pop Alliance of South Carolina. Diane, I understand you're coming our way to Myrtle Beach tomorrow. Is that real?
I am. Yes, it's the first time to Myrtle Beach. I've been traveling the state speaking on ESGs, and this is the first time in Myrtle Beach. So I'm looking forward to it.
Are you bringing sunscreen?
Oh, yes, always.
Okay, good to know. Okay, that's something I have to have. Um, Tell us an ESG. ESG is something that if you're on Twitter or you're on any conservative news sites, everyone seems to know what an ESG is. But if you're just the average mom out there taking your kid to soccer practice, probably don't know, never heard of it. And so tell us what an ESG is.
Yes, well, an ESG is a form of social credit scoring. I've been studying this topic for a few years, and I never thought that the general public would be interested in it or would care about it. And so I'm thrilled to see that it is gaining some traction. You know, for the Mom and Pop Alliance, we particularly look out for small business owners. So I really didn't think that we as an organization would be taking up anything to do with ESGs because I saw that more as a big corporation issue. But actually, the more I studied it, the more I realized that it actually is designed to impact small businesses ultimately. So that is why our organization, the Mom and Pop Alliance, we just work in South Carolina at the state level of government. We've been working really hard to educate citizens and work with legislators on raising awareness of ESG. As far as what ESG is, it's this form of social credit scoring, and it grades on three different things. One is environmental, so how much adherence you're giving towards climate change. Social, and the social can be constantly changing. Social could have to do with gun rights. It could have to do with LGBTQ. It could have to do with not employing enough minorities. The S part is constantly changing, and that's the social justice piece. And then governance, that's the last part that you get graded on. And governance means how you are governing your company. They will grade you on that, like how many minorities you have on your board, things like that. So it's a social credit scoring system.
So I own a bakery in Myrtle Beach, and I all of a sudden found out I've got this ESG rating. It's me, my mom, and my nephew, which is about all we can afford. And he's probably not getting paid half the time because he's my nephew. And all of a sudden, I get this horrible ESG score. What does that mean for me?
Yeah, well, you probably, as a business, you probably won't start off with an ESG score at first. What you'll start getting is surveys from your vendors. So let's say you need to obtain food from Cisco, or you sell. Give you this example. You're a bakery and you sell. Let's say you have a big nice catering order with a local hotel, and that local hotel has to get ESG scores on all of their vendors. So if that local hotel doesn't get ESG scores, then they will lose all of the big conventions coming to them. So it just keeps going. It starts from at the top of the chain and it keeps going down. So the really large corporations are going to require that hotel to get ESG scores, and that hotel is going to require ESG metrics. So that'll come in the form of questions and a survey to all of their vendors, regardless of size. So if you wanted to sell some cakes to that hotel, you would have to participate in ESG, or you would just have to give up the business with them.
And basically, like a python, as time moves along, it just squeezes you more and more as a small
Exactly.
business owner.
Yes. Because eventually you have to work with some companies. You may need to get supplies from them. You may need to sell to them. So what ESG is a social credit scoring system, and it'll be on all the vendors upstream and downstream from all major companies.
Who's
So
the big push? Who's the big push behind this? Government, Davos? I mean, the
um,
World Economic Forum. Who's the
all,
big push behind this?
yeah, unfortunately, all of the above.
Okay.
It's the UN. It's especially our government. It's Clinton. It's the World Economic Forum. It's the International Monetary Fund. It's a huge conglomerate of government and global entities.
Wow. And so the little guy, once again, finds himself with more regulations that are basically mandated in a very vague kind of way.
Yeah, and it's a way where because the scoring is arbitrary and ever changing, you never know if you're in compliance. You're constantly trying to be in compliance according to what they change it to. So, like in Europe, it's really important. They were really pushing fertilizer and things like that. Here, it's more gun rights, racial, LGBTQ, and it is constantly, the bar is ever changing. So you always feel like you're not in compliance. There is no even standards to it. And this is a way where you can make an end run around our Constitution, and you can that way get things through, get issues through that you would never get passed through the voting booth, that would not make it, through the ballot process.
Is the Speaker of the House, Merle Smith, and the Senate Majority Leader, Mr. Yancey, are all those guys aware of this and how
Um,
it's affecting
I'm
business?
not so sure how much they are aware of it. What we have been doing with the Mom and Pop Alliance is we have our signature popcorn, and we bring 170 bags of popcorn to every single legislator, and we're constantly attaching information about ESGs and other issues, but mostly ESG, to that popcorn. So we've also been, we're in good communication with the AG and our treasurer. They get it. I'm not sure the House fully understands, and I don't think they understand that when you attract European companies to our country, in Europe, ESGs are mandatory. So they will have to institute ESGs in South Carolina, even even though they're based here. If you're a European company, you have to do that. So I'm not 100% sure they realize that. That's a brand new law that just passed last December in Europe. Now, in our country, they are not mandatory by law through the SEC yet, although they're trying to do that. But there are so many incentives and sticks and carrots that our government uses that 82% of large corporations are complying with ESG standards.
And that's because of companies like BlackRock, or is it BlackRock? Is that the name of the company that
That's one of
raises
the
capital?
main ones. It's almost all of the large investment firms, BlackRock and State Street for sure. Vanguard was in there, but they did pull out of the Climate Action 100. But BlackRock, State Street, almost all of the major firms. And what happens is if you are not compliant, BlackRock will pull their funding from you, and that can just devastate a company. And it's not just BlackRock; it's our government too. Your permitting could be at risk, grants can be at risk, government contracts can be at risk if you do not toe the line of ESG compliance, and they get to determine what ESG compliance is.
If I was a small business that needed an SBA loan, if I wasn't as uh, ESG compliant, would it affect my ability to get a loan?
I think down the road, it definitely will. If you look at some of the way they're grading people, and down the road too, is what they really would like to do is get it down to the individual customer. So it wouldn't just even, that's why I think everyone needs to come learn about ESGs. You don't have to own a business to care, because let's say I'm a big insurance company, and I get a better ESG score if I have high ESG customers. So I don't want to take on, if I'm selling, boat insurance, car insurance, I don't want to take on those people who have bad ESG scores. So you're going to either pay more for insurance or have difficulty obtaining it. And so that's why all of us should care about ESGs, not just business owners.
Wow. So you're speaking tomorrow night in Myrtle Beach, and guys, I'm just going to put this up for you. We reach 40,000 Horry County residents, the Myrtle Beach area. Guys, tell us about this event tomorrow night.
Yeah, so this is a talk that we've been presenting throughout the state. I've given it 3 times in Charleston. We're based in Greenville. I own a small business. I have 44 employees. And I started this Mom and Pop Alliance about 3 years ago when I realized during COVID, when we don't have enough of a voice in our state house. Small businesses are really underrepresented, and we need much more of a voice in South Carolina for small businesses. So I started this organization, and I do volunteer my time to it. I do not accept any salary or government funding, and it's a statewide coalition. I travel the state, educating people about various issues, but ESG is our main topic, and we speak on this all throughout the state. And this is the first time we've come to Myrtle Beach. Tonight we'll be in not Statesville, what is it, near Darlington.
Hartsville.
Hartsville. Yeah,
Hartsville, yes.
Hartsville. Yeah, you can tell I'm not from that side of the state.
That's all right.
Tonight
Very conservative, a very conservative area, Hartsville.
Oh, well, good. Well, I look forward to going. I've never been there, but tonight we'll be giving this talk in Hartsville. And then the following night on the 9th, we're going to be giving it in Myrtle Beach at Friendly's. And really hope that people will take the time to come out, because we've gotten a lot, really strong response. Well, obviously, Charleston's asked me to come back 3 times. It's a great talk, put a lot of time into this, and we try and connect all the dots for ESG, help to make it simple to understand. But the one nice, unique thing about this talk is we bring it down to the state level. We let you know what's happening in South Carolina, what other states are doing, what we can do. So we do take it from the global all the way down to South Carolina.
So that's tomorrow night, May 9th, 6 p.m. at Friendly's, correct?
Correct, yes.
So as we close up here, I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
Small business owners all the time are telling me they're under assault. What does the future for small business America look like? Is it scary?
This ESG aspect of it does make it a little scary. To me, big picture, what you have is you have those of us that believe in decentralized decision making. That's individualism, founding principles, things like that. And then you have people who want decentralized decision making. Those are the people who really want. It comes down to, they believe in institutions. They believe it's better to have the experts tell us what to do. And they believe the few should rule the many. And so what we're seeing is this clash right now between those of us who believe in decentralized decision-making and those like the UN and Davos and World Economic Forum and others, and our government at some point, who believe in centralized decision-making. And we're having that clash right now. And small businesses fall on the decentralized side. They cannot control small business the way it is. So this is part of that aspect of trying to do that. And whether we can pull ourselves together and push back and expose this or not, I'm not sure. I don't know. I will say that I just do what we can on the state level, because you can have much more impact at the state level. Just don't waste your time right now on the federal level. You really can't do a lot about that.
Well, we're losing our liberties at the city and county level.
Yes, local level is critical. School board, local level, yes.
For our audience, and they already know it, the city of Myrtle Beach is run by a very liberal mayor named Mayor Brenda Bethune, and she's big on this ESG stuff. I mean, huge on it. So it's a welcome place for this kind of thinking. This goes back to the days of Jefferson and Adams. Jefferson wanted decentralized government from the local level. Adams wanted top down. And fortunately for us, for a long time, Jefferson's mindset ruled. But we're moving into the centralized construct today. And I am concerned. I won't lie. As a small business owner ourselves, we have 40,000 viewers. We're small business. We're not owned by corporate America. We're not corporate America media. We're mom and pop media. So, this is concerning, and I thank you for taking this up. I don't know what caused you to take this up, but and I'm sure you'll tell us tomorrow night at 6:00. But something triggered you to make you go, "Hey, this needs to stop," and it does need to stop. I can tell you my own horror stories with what I call a fuzzy bar, a fuzzy metric that you don't really understand, that was never legally passed by legislation, but it's there. That's what this is, really, a fuzzy bar, right?
Yes, and whenever you have that marriage between big government and big business, and that's what they're pushing this down onto all of us. And so that's why I take my time to travel the state, to raise awareness, and to help our legislators work around this. I just read through the other day, DeSantis is doing some great work on this, so at least we have a blueprint. I just read through his 51-page bill yesterday or day before, learned a lot from that. So, because this is something new we've never seen before. It's actually been going on for 20 years, but it hit a real pinnacle during COVID. They have trillions and trillions of dollars in assets that are being weaponized to push ESG through the system globally. So we're not even just talking about centralized governance in our country. We're talking about centralized decision-making on a global level.
No question.
And they're doing it through ESG because Our form of government is the only form of government in the world where we have the separation of powers and our unique form of constitutional republic. So we are a speed bump to this. Like in Canada, they just were able to close down the truckers' bank accounts immediately because they don't have the separation of powers and the federation that we have. And so we as Americans are probably the only country that even has a form of government that can push back against this.
And to add what Diane's saying, and I'm going to let her go, but to add what she's saying, COVID created an opportunity for a handful of people to become so super wealthy over the last couple of years. They just leveraged the opportunity, and some of these corporate giants and some of these people behind organizations like Davos have really become super wealthy, while the small mom and pop operators getting squeezed, and America's losing its middle class. So we're going to have the ultra rich and the ultra poor unless we get educated and learn how to deal with stuff like this. And I thank you again for educating us, because you're the expert. I'm just a journalist who covers this stuff, but I find it fascinating. I'm going to try to be there tomorrow night. I don't know that I can, but I'm going to try to be there. But secondly, everyone knows in Horry County is the county of Myrtle Beach. That's where Myrtle Beach resides. It's a very conservative county with a very progressive city called Myrtle Beach. But we're going to be launching a TV channel, Roku TV channel, with 40 million total potential reach. And Diane, we'd like to invite you back because we have so few of you. I'd almost like to clone you. We have so few of you that are that informed, that really and truly understand not only what's being done, but what the long-term ramifications of what it means for us as individuals and small business owners. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, happy to help in any way I can to help people understand this very complex topic.
Well, one of the good things I can report to you, we're going to have really good weather for you tomorrow. So welcome to Myrtle Beach. Hope you have a great time.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Looking forward to meeting the folks in Myrtle Beach. And thank you so much for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.